This is Felt Recoil.
Welcome to the Felt Recoil podcast. My name is Kris. Across from me, P-Mag Hulon. How are you, sir?
I'm good. What's happening?
We just watched the Stolen Valor, ISIS Stolen Valor from Vet TV. Holy moly. Strong language. So if that ruffles your feathers, don't go watch it. But if you can let it go, the end is the best part. At least the Stolen Valor World Star screams are amazing. All right. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. Thanks for joining us. We will gather around and reason together here in just a moment. First, we'll tell you about this week's charity of choice. That is the Greenville War Fund. This is a charity close to home for us, both literally, metaphorically, and all that other hyperbolic stuff. I don't know if I'm using the right words. Probably my tumor. We'll talk about that in a minute. So Greenville's War Fund is for the wounded and recovering officers in the county of Greenville, South Carolina. It's a nonprofit that exists to benefit sheriff's deputies injured in the line of duty. It's possible for an officer's insurance and department to stop covering expenses that are incurred after an officer is injured. So they need our help to not have money. Money shouldn't be a stress item. You're going through something like that, money should be the last thing you have to worry about. So folks like you and me can do our part to just pitch in a few pennies every once in a great while and help these guys and gals out. Just visit greenvillewarfund.com. That's greenvillewarfund.com. And a donation would be greatly appreciated. Okay, a lot to get to here. Southwest pilot, former fighter jet pilot, lifelong hero. If you're unaware, we'll tell you all about that. Southwest pilot, according to CNN, a former Navy fighter pilot praised for her nerves of steel during an emergency landing. And if you don't know, essentially this jet's engine blew up mid-flight. Shrapnel flew through a window, killing a passenger. But the pilot was still able to land the plane, kind of limp it home. We'll give you all the gory details on that. Starbucks closing 8,000 stores for a day of sensitivity training. It's absurd on every level. This is a scenario where everyone was wrong. Everyone except the police was wrong in this scenario. So we'll cover that. And then Dick's Sporting Goods. And then our vote of the week is a Fresno State professor. Go figure. The dumbest person we could find in the news all week is the professor at a state college. Okay. I want to start. Can I show you these death pills I have? This has been a heck of a week for me, medically speaking. But let's just pretend we're at a party, and I'm like, yo, Hulon, you want to try some of this good stuff? And then this is what I sprinkle out on the table for you. Look at this. Like fluorescent blue,
This is
nasty pills.
This is what Neo had to choose between.
It's either this one or the red one, right?
Yeah.
I feel no more smarter. In fact, everything this week has been essentially a way to make me feel dumber and dumber. and this has kind of been the button on all of that this week.
It almost looks like it's glowing.
So this is...
Do these glow in the dark?
I haven't tried.
It's not dark enough in here to tell, but yeah, hold it up to your eye.
I'm trying. I don't see it. This is, I'm on dicyclamine. Whatever
you
what
say,
I would
buddy.
say it is. 10 milligrams per cap. They think my gallbladder is bad.
You don't need that anyway.
So this is what I get. It hurts when I eat, okay? And it has for a couple of weeks. And here's what's funny. I have this thing where I firmly believe that nature is against me ever being skinny, because every time I start a new regimen of some sort, something gets in the... there is some sort of, injury or scenario plays out. Some
Those
adverse,
are called excuses.
Right.
Sir.
Yes, absolutely. There's an adverse effect for everything I try to positively do in life. I signed up, thanks to Tim Ferriss, I signed up for Athletic Greens. Have you heard of this stuff?
No, sir.
And Athletic Greens...
it's like where they mush up a bunch of crap and then put it in a bottle and you drink it.
there you go. Yeah, but in powder form. So you just add it to a glass of water. It tastes terrible.
So they mush up a bunch of crap and dry it out.
Exactly.
And it's like eating dirty chalk.
That is exactly right. And it's meant to be like 12 essentials for your day, right? So you get like a boost of vitamin C and all these great, supplements that are wonderful for you. And if you combine it with a whole food diet, it's supposed to really make you feel healthier. You're really legitimately supposed to feel better. Well, I started taking it and immediately felt like crap. Like, I can't tell you, this was about a month ago. I was taking it every day as per the instructions, not with food, before I would eat a meal. And suddenly my stomach was just torn apart. And not like torn apart like, you would normally say if you have the flu. I mean, like, it hurt. It hurt.
Did you send Tim Ferriss an email and ask him why he did that to you?
Why'd you try and kill me, Tim Ferriss? Yeah, the 4-Hour Life. That'll be the new.
Should have just sent him an email and said, "Hey, man, I'm just going to stick to beer."
Right. So that would have been a better idea, probably. So here's what happens. This is the long story, long version, but we've got an hour to fill, so bear with me. So I go to the doctor and on a Friday morning, and that Thursday afternoon before my doctor's appointment. So I call the doctor and I go, "Hey," and this is how you know it could potentially be terrible. Is how normally you'll call your doctor and they're like, "Well, how can we help you?" And you go, "Well, I got this persistent cough," and they go, "Okay, let's see here." So it's like Tuesday, and they go, "Well, we can get you in probably Wednesday of next week. Is that all right?" And you go, "Man, yeah, I guess you guys are busy." "Oh, it's that time of year," right? That's normally how your doctor's appointments go.
Yep.
Here's how mine went. So I call her, and I get the receptionist, and she goes, "Okay, what would you like to see the doctor about?" And I go, "Yeah, it hurts when I eat. I get stomach pains." And she goes, "Okay, we'll be able to see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. I'm like, "Oh, okay." So, so I called Thursday morning and I say, "It hurts when I eat," and it has been for a few weeks. And at first I just thought maybe I'm constipated or gas or something old manish, right? No, right? It doesn't go away. Nothing gets better. It hurts and hurts. So the point is, I go Thursday, I make the appointment to see the doctor on Friday morning. And that Thursday afternoon, I rode out to DuPont with a friend to ride bikes through the mountains of DuPont National Forest. And it was awesome. It was awesome. We currently ride at Paris Mountain usually when I ride, which is a lot of fun if you're in the upstate area ever and you like to ride mountain bikes. Paris Mountain's a perfect spot, right? But DuPont is way better. It was just so much fun. Here's the problem. So we rode for about an hour. And it was pretty strenuous. I mean, you're climbing however many 100 feet of elevation on a bike, and you're having to hike your bike and all that kind of crap. And then you fly down. It's just total exhilaration and a really good time. But on the way home, I get what I've gotten my entire life. I get these terrible headaches if I overexert myself when I exercise. And I'd love to hear that somebody else has gotten them, and you'll know why here in a second. I looked it up, and everywhere I was reading, the Mayo Clinic and everything of the sort, said you can get, what do they call them? It's like an exhilarate headache, something like that. But the point is,
It's news to me.
if you overexert yourself and you're dehydrated, you can get really bad headaches. It's a thing that happens to people. But I go and I talk to the doctor about my stomach, and he goes, "Well, you could just have, like an inflamed gallbladder. I mean, you could have an ulcer. We don't really know until we look, but we should look and make sure there's no stones." But he pressed on my stomach, and he goes, "I'm going to prescribe you some medicine. It'll probably knock it out of you. You'll feel better. Just, no alcohol, no greasy, fatty foods, blah, blah, blah." I go, "Okay." And I was joking with him about, well, this might be for the good because it is making it difficult to eat big meals. Like I have to eat just a little bit of something, just enough to get by. So maybe this is actually good for me. Maybe we just don't fix it and it cures my bigger problem. And
That's called logic.
Exactly, right? Who's the doctor now?
Right.
So I go and he's like, "All right, anything else?" And I say, yeah, quick question. So I got to back up here. Driving back from DuPont, I felt totally fine. And then I got home and I got in the shower and I could feel this headache start to set in. And it occurred to me I hadn't had any water since we came off the mountain. So I said, okay, well, I better get some water. So I drink probably legitimately about 64 ounces of water within the following hour. and I take a couple of Aleve to try and, head the headache off here at the front. And my head hurt so bad that I just went to bed at like 8 o'clock. And I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't think straight. I just couldn't see straight. It was terrible, terrible headache. But I want to reiterate, I get them all the time. Like, for my entire life, I should say. I don't get them every time I do something strenuous, but oftentimes I will. And I get stress migraines, occasionally, but not really often. So I tell the doc, I've got this headache, and last night it was the headache to end all headaches. It was the worst headache I think I've ever had. And he's like, well, I mean, it's probably nothing. I mean, you said you've gotten them before. Yeah, I've gotten them before. He goes, well, I mean, any like vision impairment? Well, yeah, I mean, I'll get those little swirly lines in my eyes. Okay. Yeah, I just don't know. And he's standing there kind of like, all right, this could be serious, but maybe it's not, but I hate to say it's not, and then it is type thing. And he goes, any history of like aneurysms in your family? And I say, yeah, my aunt had one about 2 months ago, I guess, 2 or 3 months ago. And he goes, dadgummit. All right, well, I guess we'll look. So he orders a CAT scan, which we're going to do next Monday in the morning. But in the meantime, he says, but stay off your bike. Don't do anything strenuous. Don't go running out in the sun or anything. Just stay put. Take it easy. That's easy for me to do, right? I'm like, oh, yeah.
Doctor's orders.
Yeah, and so here's what so he says, we'll order the CAT scan. Okay. So I go away, and I go by the pharmacy later that day, and I said, it was Friday afternoon. I said, hey, you have a prescription ready for me? They said, oh, what's the last name? Vermilion. I go, I don't see anything for you. I said, oh, okay. I thought they called it in this morning. Well, sometimes they come in the afternoon. Okay, all right. You guys are open tomorrow, though. Yeah. So I check in on Saturday, and they're like, nothing came through. We never got any alert from your doctor. So I called the doctor on Monday. It's Wednesday, right? So on Monday, I call my doctor's office, and I leave a message for the nurse, and I say, hey, I came in, the doctor gave me a prescription, and I need it filled. My stomach is I'm in physical pain. Okay, I am legitimately, and it's not like it hurts terribly. If you've ever had gallbladder issues, it's just persistently annoying. Like, it is really annoying. So I call them Monday, and they never call back. And so I call back Tuesday, and the lady goes, well, let me send you to her voicemail. I said, okay. So I get her voicemail again. And I say, yeah, can any chance you can give me a call? I'm missing some, my prescriptions were supposed to be called in for this stomach thing I got going on. Well, then I get a call from my pharmacy, and I go, hey, your prescription's ready. And I go, oh, great. What is it? What is it? And they go, oh, it's Synthroid. And so what they did was the nurse called in the current prescription I have to take every day. When they removed my thyroid a couple years ago, and I take Synthroid every morning. And so the nurse had thought, oh, he's calling for a refill on that prescription. So
it's a good thing you don't have a history of, aneurysms in your family.
Right, yeah, right? And so, well, this doesn't help that. This is trying to fix my stomach. So I go, okay. So
I'm just saying they're Johnny on the spot with this thing.
Man, so I called the office back, and I said, listen, I know, and they close, they have like an administrative day on Wednesdays. So they close their office at 12:30, but you can still talk to them over the phone, but you're not getting an appointment after 12:30 on Wednesdays with my doctor. So I call at like 10 o'clock this morning, and I go, yes, I need to get the nurse on the phone. And here's the thing. This is what I get. And do you have this sore spot about you? If I know what's happening and someone tries to explain it to me like I'm stupid, I get really mad really fast.
Yeah.
So when I call the doctor's office this morning, I say to the lady, hey, how are you? She goes, good. I said, I'm a patient of Dr. Matthias, and I need to get this prescription straightened out. There's been a mix-up with my prescriptions. I need to get it straight. And she goes, well, the nurse handles that. I said, I understand that. And she goes, so
that's why I'm calling.
Right. And she goes, okay, well, I'm sending you over to her voicemail. And I go, whoa. Ma'am. I left 3 messages over the course of the last day and a half, and she has not called me back. So just do me a favor. Please go get her and put her on the phone. Well, she's in the room with a patient. Okay. What do we do? Like, what does it take to get a call back? Well, I'll handwrite a note and hand it to her. Okay, do that. Okay, do that. Okay, all right. So finally the lady called back. Very nice. Super sorry. I misunderstood your message. I get it now. Calling it in. It should be available in 20 minutes. No problem. Fine. Thank you. They straightened it out. But it's like, it's just one of those things where you're trying to not lose your cool with people, but really, you do have a job to do. Can you please just do your job? Can't you please just call me back? Like, I guess that's kind of what really irritated me about it all, was the fact that she didn't call to verify with me. She just assumed she knew, and then she made a very terribly wrong assumption. But the pain's not that bad. I can deal with it and all that. But it does make me concerned. Like, my doctor is an internalist.
Luckily, though, right? I mean,
right? Yeah.
what if it really was debilitating?
Well, you're kind of taking the point from me, absolutely, because I'm about the youngest person that my doctor sees, and we joke about that because he's an internalist. So he sees a lot of elderly people with bowel syndrome and all that kind of stuff.
You show up and make jokes like, oh, yeah, so getting into pediatrics.
That's exactly
You're
right.
there? No? Okay.
It's good to be young. Son, you're 40. Whatever. So I do wonder, though. I hope those the older people around me, I hope it's not as tough for them. Anyway, so that was my week with
I
the
hope
doctor.
when you're in the waiting room that all the really old people around you are like, man, that guy must have done some clean living. They think you're like
90.
at least, 85.
Happy 73. So all that to say.
Show up with a balloon next time. Says happy 70th birthday.
Right?
Just walk through the waiting room with it.
The people in that waiting room, what is it about old people and people in general these days that they're all so grumpy? Have you noticed that? Like, I want to be, I think I've told you this story before. When I worked at Academy.
Is that new?
Grumpy old people?
Yeah.
I guess not. Here's who I want to be when I get old. I worked at Academy Sports for a little while, and I was standing at the gun counter one day, and this old guy comes in. He's walking real slow. He says, hey, can you help me with something? I said, sure. He said, it's my son's birthday. I'd like to buy him something nice. I said, okay. What's he into? And he told me. And so I pointed him in a direction. He goes, I appreciate that. And he walks away.
And you're all, our Rugers are right over here.
Do you love your son? No? Let me show you a Ruger. Here's this Bursa. He walks over to the aisle because he was looking for knives or whatever it was, some ammo, and went buying him a gun. He's in that section. So he and I chat for a second. I walk back, and I'm back behind the gun counter. And it's been about maybe 7 or 8 minutes. And here he comes, just shuffling his feet nice and slow. And he looks at me, and I go, doing all right? And he goes, yeah. It's my son's birthday, and I want to get him something nice. And so what do you do, right? And I go,
You go, I know.
All right.
And then he goes, oh, you know my grandson?
I get, I guess, a look on my face, and he loses it. He laughs right in my face and goes, I'm messing with you, man. Thanks for the help. I thought, man, I want to be that old guy. Like, look, you don't have long left. Enjoy it. Like, why be so grumpy? What are you grumpy about, So anyway, this all leads to the fact that I don't even know if this is worth telling, but I normally don't disclose medical conditions to people. Like, I know that this has proven that untrue, but it's a funny thing where I go to the doctor, and the doctor says, well, your head is hurting. We should look at your head. There's a history of aneurysms in your family. Let's have a CAT scan done and make sure there's not something up there. Now,
I've known you for a few years now. Pretty sure there's nothing up there.
I see what you did. Right. Show's over. I call my wife and I say, everything was good. They do want to look at my head. I did take a fall off my bike, and I smacked my face on the ground a few weeks ago. You were there, if you remember. And
Oh, yeah, I got a good chuckle out of it.
I told him that, and he goes, well, you could have had a concussion, and things can build up in there if you don't treat them. And if you're still out there exerting yourself, it could be getting worse. I said, okay. So he says, let's just take a look. Stay off your bike. Don't do anything. All right. So I tell my wife. Well, then, of course, like maybe a couple hours go by, and here's my mom calling my phone. My mom doesn't call my phone all that often. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then it's the whole, you know how moms do it. So how are you? Good? Good. Okay. Well, I talked to Carmen. I'm like, dadgummit, you know? And then I go, okay. So you heard I'm having a CAT scan, and now you're worried. And then mom proceeds to tell me about all the people she's ever known that have had tumors and how they're totally operable, nothing to worry about. I was like, who says I have a tumor? Even my doctor said it's probably nothing, but we should look to be safe. No, that's fine. It's fine. But your grandmother had a tumor, and they just took it right out. No problem. Okay, thanks, Mom. You know, no big deal. Trying to get off. So then we go to church Sunday, right? And Mom's good friend walks up. And I know she told her, she had to have told her, because this late, I mean, you know, I say hey to her when I see her at church and all that, and then she comes up and she's like, so, how you feeling? I'm like, Mom, come on. Like, I know she probably got in her prayer circle and was like,
I wish she actually had walked up and said, hey, Kris, gonna be praying for you. And just turned around and walked off.
Yep. I'll tell you what, Vermillion, I've heard your podcast. If there's not a tumor up there, you're going to need a better excuse. Oh, okay. Yeah. So anyway, every time I even think about getting into fitness, the fitness as the kids call it, something happens. I feel like it is a message from God himself that Kris Vermillion is not made to work out. So there you go. That's what I learned this week. But I want to get back on the bike. I want to go back down and, you know, be all right. Anyway, so all that to say, now I've got what appear to be these radioactive blue death pills, and I don't know what to do with that. I have to take them 3 times a day. Hopefully they work. But all right. That was neither here nor there. That was just kind of a recap of my frustrating last few days. And you know what's funny? I do this thing now. Okay. Remember this, when you hear us proselytizing you for Travis Haley and studying under Travis Haley himself, the thing I took from the Haley strategic course that I took in Tulsa was Travis's constant admonition to wake up every day feeling empty and to realize that someone out there has it worse than you do. Whatever it is you're facing, somebody has it worse than you do. And so I do this thing now where if I'm like in a Facebook group, like, you know, the Saddleback Leather people I hang out with online that just want to gripe about a scuff on a bag because their lives, some of them, are so dull that the only thing they can think to do online is critique a crease in a piece of leather and go, this just doesn't live up to my standards. I'm going to have to send it back. It doesn't live up to my standards. And then literally 10 people will get on there and mock them for it. Like, this is what these people come. So I've gotten now to where I will post terribly sad news stories underneath it and say, could be worse. You could be this person. Could be worse. Your child literally could be at the hospital right now.
That's pretty solid.
Right? And I've kind of had that realization with the gun community as of late. Because we want to act. Let me tell you a true story about what happened to me today. I kid you not. I work for a gun company. I'm on the front lines of customer complaints quite often, okay? That's the nature of what I do. And I got a message today from a guy who said, and I'll stay real vague about it, he didn't think his rifle was made right. It's not spec. And he sends some janky pictures to back up his accusation. This rifle ain't right.
From his flip phone?
Yeah, you put this together wrong. So I took a look at it, and honest to God, I couldn't tell. Okay? He was arguing about one little piece, and I couldn't tell. No function problems with the rifle, mind you. He just didn't like how this looked. He didn't think this was correct.
That never happens in the gun world.
Right. So I walked out to the sales floor, and I grabbed an FN and a Daniel Defense rifle so that I wasn't just looking at the product we make, okay? And they were the same. So I take a picture of the two of them next to each other. And I go back and I respond to his message. And I said, hey, listen, we have a lifetime warranty. First of all, always apologize first. Hey, man, I'm really sorry you're having a hassle with your rifle. And we're desperately sorry that it wasn't made to the spec you wanted it to be made to. However, bear in mind that we have an unlimited lifetime warranty. We will fix it or replace it at no cost to you. This is what I tell this guy, all right? It is very hard to tell from these pictures whether or not that certain component is right or wrong. If you have determined it's wrong, I want you to send it back to us free of charge. We'll make it right. However, look at this picture. Here's an FN and a Daniel Defense next to each other. And notice that the parts are like the one that you sent a picture of as well. And you know what he said? F it. I can't stand you guys. Won't do business with you anymore. This is how you treat people. That was his response.
What?
I was like, what are you so mad about? I'm trying to make it right. I'm trying to fix it for you. Why are you so angry at me? Like, what? And I know, I mean, I don't mean mean. I mean at us, at the company. Why are you so upset? Here's my point. Aren't we supposed to kind of be in this fight together? Like, there is a legitimate war against we, the gun community. Most of us, 99% of us, are good people deep down. All right? We all make mistakes and have our flaws. Some of us have taken a knee in solidarity with Colin Kaepernick, and I take issue with that. But that doesn't make you a bad person. You know, it just means I think you made an egregious error. Do we have to act like we hate each other in everything we do so often? I tell people...
Seems to be the case.
I know you work kind of in a supervising role, assistant to the regional manager, I think is your title. Mm-hmm. And
move a lot of paper.
I tell people a lot when we're dealing with customer service issues, what you have to remember is if someone is coming here to yell at you, whatever the forum is, be it on a sales floor or in my case, most often through email or messaging on social media, if they're really laying into you, something is desperately wrong in their life. So don't get mad at them. Be compassionate about it. Be empathetic to the idea that everything is falling apart so bad for them wherever they are that the only recourse they have is to come to us and yell at us. I can't possibly gauge any other reason to be so angry with someone. And we're talking, by the way, I'll be real clear about this part. We're talking about a crush washer that this gentleman thought was on the wrong way. And so I was trying to say, here's the direction it should face. Flat end against the barrel, wider open end towards the muzzle device. There you go. And here's a picture of these two. And judging from this picture that you sent, when I zoom in, it looks like it's on there correctly. But again, very hard for us to tell. All right? And then he just loses his mind.
I have a theory.
Yes.
I think that the people that react in that way, that lash out at people for reasons that are inconsequential to anything in reality, probably did not get the allotted amount of hugs growing up.
Absolutely. That very well could be right. It very well could be. I don't understand. I guess that's the whole point I just made. I just don't understand what could be going so wrong.
Did you ask him what his favorite
life.
emo band was?
So I tried to reply again in this particular case. I said, sir, you are, because he replied and said, oh, well, for as long as I've known, this is the way it works. And I said, that is 100% correct.
Well, I'm
We're
sure
just
his
saying it in
friend
different ways.
that was a Navy Delta sniper, space shuttle door gunner,
Yes, sir.
probably told him that you don't have to oil it and the crush washer should face upside down.
When I tried to reply and say, I think you're correct, and we're saying this in separate ways. It's very similar, by the way, to the time a guy was asking me if we had any blued guns. And I was like, well, yes, all of these, like all these rifles behind me have blued barrels. What do you mean? And he got very angry, and it took about legitimately 3 or 4 minutes for me to determine he was looking for a blued steel revolver. I said, oh, you're talking like a blued steel, like polished, looks good, bright steel. He goes, yeah. And I said to him, we're talking about separate things, but using the same terminology. See, this finish on here, we call this blued. It's a blued barrel. And he goes, no, that's not bluing. I said, it is. It's not blued steel like you're looking for, but we call it bluing. It's a term that's used. It doesn't really matter, but I'm just telling you why our wires are crossed. Well, let's go down here and look at revolvers. And that gentleman, I kid you not, looked at me and said, I don't know how you work in a gun store when you so obviously don't know what you're talking about. I said, fair enough. Do you want to look at revolvers or do you not? He was such a jerk that his wife apologized when he went away. I don't know what goes on in these people's minds that they treat the general public this way, especially each other. I guess that's the point I'm making.
What
We're a
color
community.
was his hover round?
That's, yes, actually. Very much so. It's a true story.
Did he ask where the Black Rifle coffee was?
Right up front, sir.
his way out.
Right. Good grief. It's over. Anyway. I've gotten to where I enjoy the Black Rifle Coffee guys. I like what they're doing. I love who they are as entrepreneurs. I'm still a little peeved that they lied about Starbucks, but that's okay. Believe it or not, that gentleman was in a mobile scooter, and his wife apologized and said he hasn't been the same since the stroke. And then I felt bad, but he was still really, really rude. But my point is this. I don't want to lose my original idea here. I want to just kind of compel you to remember we are all in this together. And you can take that as me saying we're all in life together like a hippie. But I actually mean it like we are a community of people. Right. Yeah, we're a community of people who share common ideals. Usually it's...
And doobies.
Well, see, I was just about to say it's usually God, family, and country.
Oh.
That would kind of go against that.
Okay, sorry.
But yeah, sure.
Thought we were going with a hippie thing.
What I don't get is why we can't just be nice to each other. And I know that might sound a little ridiculous, but I'm sitting there today as the dude's cursing at me because he doesn't want to hear that we have a warranty. I don't know what I'm supposed to do for a guy in that situation. Like wave a magic wand and the crush washer magically reverses itself and he's happy? Do I say, you're right, we just fired 6 people because somebody put a crush washer on backwards? Sorry about that. I don't know what to do for him.
I'll tell you what I would do.
You tell me.
I would be genuine and I would say, sir, we're going to make this right. I'm sorry that answer wasn't adequate for you. So what I want you to do is send me that back right now. Here's a return shipping label. I'm going to pay for it. You send it back to me. I'll send it right back to you. And then what I would do is I would take that properly installed crush washer and I would turn that sumbitch around. And I would just put it on there and it'd be all jacked up and I'd send it right back to him. And then I'd follow up with him, sir, I hope we have done our part in making sure that you are satisfied.
I want you happy. Here's the thing. He blocked me. After he dropped the F-bomb at me, right? Dropped the F-bomb at me and told me I'll shop with BCM and Daniel Defense. And I was like, good for you. I do too. I own BCM parts. I own Daniel Defense parts. I'm not offended that you're not giving my company all of your money. That's fine. What I'm mostly offended by is A, the cursing and at me like that. And then B, not engaging in conversation. It's so funny in that instance. I guarantee you that guy hates CNN because he had the Don't Tread on Me banner on his Facebook profile and all that. I guarantee you he hates CNN. He thinks the left is intolerant. He doesn't want, the left hates anyone who disagrees with them. And then here he is doing exactly what they do. Exactly what they do. And I'm not trying to say like I'm I shouldn't be everyone's moral barometer. I'm not trying to say that. But here's a guy.
No, but it's indicative of the gun community as a whole.
Right.
Everything turns into a pissing contest, and it's so unnecessary, and it's so counterproductive and so counterintuitive to the idea. So so you've got all these movements where guys want to repeal the NFA or take away the suppressor tax or whatever, and we can't even get together on just being nice to each other.
Right?
How does anyone think that any of those other things, where we actually have to go up against these politicians to get these things taken away, to actually restore fully our rights as American citizens, we can't even get it together and just be polite to one another.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Yep.
And that's if you go to the range, there's always some guy puffing his chest up. If you're standing at the gun counter, if you're on any forum, pick one. Everybody on there is a dick. I mean,
yeah.
I don't understand it.
I wonder.
And you've brought this point up before on the show. In the mountain biking community, it's the polar opposite.
Right.
Go into a bike shop. Anyone in there with even the slightest bit of knowledge is ready to transfer that. They're ready to help you out and be the nicest person on the planet. And that's not because they're all a bunch of hippy-dippy, whatever.
No, you're right.
Actually, a lot of them are gun owners too, as I've found out. Local bike shop where we hang out.
Yep.
The manager there shops where we work.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not a matter of, male mentality or anything like that. To me, it's strictly the gun community. And for some reason, we can't get past it.
I do wonder that. I do wonder if other communities have this internal turmoil where it's so rare to find. Because, look, I work for company A, right? And then what happens is, and I'll run social media for them, for the company as a whole now. I haven't always. But one of the things I do is compliment other products. So we'll get tagged in things and someone will put a SIG Romeo optic on it and I'll go, hey, your build looks great. We love those SIG optics. And I know that's probably putting people a little bit for a spin where they go, oh, yeah, I mean, they saw I tagged them for their parts, right? But I want it to come across as we enjoy everybody. We're a community.
Well, that's a genuine sort of response, though.
Right.
It's not canned.
Right. Hey, that looks
it's also
great.
Not, all about you.
That build is fire. Those kind of things. Yeah. I was watching BKXC video, who's Brian Kennedy Cross Country. He's a mountain biker I subscribe to on YouTube. This guy's got 140,000 subscribers on YouTube, and all he does for a living, and he's worked very hard to get where he is. He has worked incredibly hard to get to a point where he can ride bikes for a living, and he just documents where he's riding. And he's on a trail up in North Carolina this week, and a guy catches up to him, and he goes, "Oh, you got a GoPro on?" And he goes, yeah. And he goes, "What, is that like a gimbal system?" He goes, "It is, yeah." He goes, "Oh, that's a cool way to film your rides. You got like a YouTube channel or something?" And this guy, who really, of all people, could be like, "I sure do, buddy." He just casually replies, "I'm thinking about starting one." And the guy goes, "Oh, you should," and like rides away. And it was this great, candid moment of just a couple of guys getting along. I wish there was more of that in the gun community than there is. And like you said, there's so much knowledge out there. Nobody will ever have it all. Share it with each other. Stop being so stingy. Stop being mean. And please, for the love of God, be nice to people when you're dealing with them. Just be kind. There's enough time and enough places for you to get all that negative energy out.
Unless someone's buying a Taurus.
Save that for the fight. Yeah. Come on.
They don't count.
Totally different.
Screw those guys.
Somebody wants a terrorist gun from Taurus. You tell them what's up. But that's another thing. Like, we give Ruger and I'll give Taurus a hard time as long as I feel like it. Those guys knowingly sold guns to terrorists. I don't think anyone should ever buy a Taurus product again. Sorry. That's just my personal opinion on it. It's not that they're bad products. They make a decent gun. They put a great warranty on it. But that company, as a whole, legitimately knew that they were selling guns to terrorists. And they're still being bought by Americans. And they're still being bought by Bubba Gump, who will come in there and tell you, "Is it made in America?" No, these are made in Brazil. "Well, I only buy made in America." "What you got for $150? "This very Taurus." "Well, I guess I'll take it." You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it, but it's this thing where I say it a lot. It's always easy to have principles until it's time to apply them. And that's definitely a scenario where that principle goes right out the window. "I only buy made in American stuff." Are you sure you do? Are you sure? Because, Taurus isn't made in America, blah, blah. Anyway, all that to say, I just would urge you, be kind to each other. Please get along, please. Okay. Here's the bigger point. We're being attacked on all sides, from all fronts. Everyone is after us. Let's not be after each other. All right, let's not. If you got a problem with your local gun shop or whatever the case may be, you got to raise your voice and yell at people. It's a gun shop. Do we really want anyone? Just imagine at all times that the guy next to you in the gun shop's never been in a gun shop before and he wants to see what it's like. Because what if that's some crazy loon lefty reporter looking for a story and finding all these aggressive, angry people in the gun shop? Just And I don't care what shop you're in, actually. Just be kind to people, especially, by the way, it's like the people that put their church bumper sticker on their car and then drive like a jackass all around town.
I like it.
Okay? Knock that crap off. And then if you're wearing your 3%er patch or an American flag insignia somewhere on you, don't be a douche to people. Be kind. You have an obligation to represent our community in a good light everywhere you go, okay? So let's work on that collectively. I'm in that group. Like I just said, I was so irritated with the nurse and with the doctor's office this week, but I tried my best. I think I did a pretty decent job of just saying, please fix it. Just please fix it. And when she called today and said, really sorry, I said, hey, no problem. It happens. I know you're busy. No problem.
Yeah, lady, the good news is I didn't die.
I didn't die. Now I'm still in pain. It still hurts, but hopefully it'll get better. I think, can I take 2 more of these today? I'm really bad at keeping track of medicine. I just found out tonight that I've been taking my main medicine wrong the whole time. Isn't that funny? I have to take Synthroid every day because they took my thyroid out, as you heard me mention earlier. So everything in me is pretty much fake at this point, right? It's all
we've met.
What's the word? Right, synthetic. Okay, which is probably half of what Synthroid stands for. But all the chemicals in my body are basically synthetic now, and they're produced by this pill that I take. And I just realized I'm not even kidding. I realized tonight, and then it dawned on me, I have to see my oncologist tomorrow as well, endocrinologist. I have to see him tomorrow as well. And when I saw him 6 months ago, he said, hey, we have to change the way you're taking this. And I was like, all right, doc, no way I'll remember that. I remember saying it to him.
Have you
been
crushing them up and snorting them?
No.
I'm not sure what you mean by you're taking them.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, all right. Okay, so it works.
This is a family show, Chris.
It works like this. No.
Okay.
It's all about dosage, all right? I
thought we were still talking about methods.
I'm supposed to take 250 milligrams of Synthroid a day, right? Except one day a week, I'm only supposed to take 125. So I take 2 pills every morning of 125, right?
Who could remember that?
Thank you. I forgot. And then I got new bottles, right? And these, by the way, Publix, you do a lot of good things, but your pharmacy, I just switched to Publix pharmacy because Costco is becoming a huge pain. But doesn't this look like I'm dying? Like just the bottle itself looks like death medicine. I think Publix needs to kind of streamline their prescription bottles. It's like, I'm sure there's a reason it's dark and syrupy colored like that, maybe to keep light out. But this really, when you walk out with one of these, it really looks like you got a serious condition, which maybe I do. They're going to scan my head on Monday and find out. But anyway.
I cannot wait for next week's show.
Turns out I'm supposed to be taking 2 pills 6 days a week, and on one day every week, just take 1. And I've never done that. So I've been taking too much.
You ever wonder why you were running out prematurely, Chris? Right? That never crossed your mind?
No, not really.
Not really a concern.
Isn't that funny, though? So now I have to go in tomorrow. I'm supposed to be doing it. So they check my levels every 6 months. They look for 2 things. They look for, is there any cancer present? And then they look for...
I hope that when the chart comes out, they go, whoa!
Well, no, coming in hot. That's what they did last time. That's exactly what happened last time. He said, man, your levels are a little high, so let's just take 1 less every week. And I said to him, I swear to you, I said to him, Doc, there's no way I'll remember that, but I will do my best. And then tonight, I got the new bottles, and I looked down at it, and it says, take two capsules once a day, 6 days a week. And I was like, what? 6 days a week? And then right under that, take 1 capsule once a day, 1 day per week. And I was like, oh, that's right. Holy moly. Completely forgot. I hijacked this entire episode. Sorry.
Oh, well, that's all right.
Listen.
What else is new?
You've probably heard of the Southwest
Pilot. I wasn't
pilot.
talking about the stories, but okay.
There's a lot, but not worth talking about yet. Kudos to the former Navy fighter pilot who landed this plane safely. Tammy Jo Schultz landed a Southwest Airlines flight after an engine failure. Basically, an engine exploded, broke open a window on the plane. Shrapnel hit a passenger in the head, knocked her out, I guess. She eventually died, was almost sucked out of the plane. Other passengers had to hold her inside. Mm-hmm. But this lady is a superhero, man. Tammy Jo Schultz. let's see, where was her resume? I thought, okay, yeah, she's one of the Navy's first female fighter pilots. She served in VAQ 34, which is a tactical electronic warfare squadron out of California. She helped train ship crews to respond to Soviet missile threats. She was among the first cohort of women pilots to transition to tactical aircraft. She later was an instructor for the EA-6B Prowler, an electronic warfare plane that counts jamming radar systems and gathering intelligence among its responsibilities. So if you don't know, the left engine broke in midair, sent an object towards the plane. The object burst through the window just above the airplane's left wing. A passenger was sucked toward the hole where the window used to be. Other passengers pulled her back in, but she would later die.
I would add, too, that those same passengers attempted to give CPR to her for quite some time while the plane limped back to the closest place to land. And I personally, as bad as it was to hear that this lady passed away from her injuries, it actually kind of made me a little proud to hear that people on the flight did what they could to try to save her. I'd like to hear more of that in the news and less of all the crap they like to perpetually smear.
Yep, you got that right. And so one fatality in the Southwest jet engine failure. First American fatality on an airliner in American airspace in 9 years.
Yep.
So that's a very safe way to travel. Don't let this dissuade you. All right. Starbucks to close it out, and then we'll give you our vote of the week, which is this professor at Fresno State. What a weirdo. All right. Starbucks is closing 8,000 stores for an afternoon for racial bias education. If you're not aware of what happened, here's the basic rundown. Two black guys go into Starbucks. They have a seat at a table. They use the restroom. An employee tells them that restroom is for paying customers only, so you have to buy something or leave. They say to him, we're waiting on someone. He says, buy something or leave. They say, we're waiting on someone. He says, buy something or leave. Who knows how many times it actually went back and forth? The truth is always somewhere in the middle. But what we know for a fact is that the employee then called the police and said, these guys are now trespassing. They need to leave. They told the cops they weren't leaving. The cops said, we're asking kindly to leave. They told the cops we're not leaving. The cops placed them under arrest. Now, who is this friend they were waiting on that takes this long to get there? That's my first question. But B,
I can answer that.
Okay.
Because I know. Apparently, he is a real estate developer in the area, and he was meeting these two gentlemen there to discuss a possible business transaction over a cup of coffee.
and he was a half hour late.
The story I heard was he was approximately 15 minutes late.
Let's just run this from every angle, okay? Starbucks employee angle. You got two guys in there. They're using your restroom. It's a stupid policy, and this is from a guy, by the way, who still currently, sometimes occasionally, has to clean public restrooms. Just nature of the beast. Okay, I work in the back of a retail store, and if I have to hit the head throughout the day and it's a mess, I'll clean it up because that's what you do. That's what anybody does. A lot of people that work where I work do the exact same thing. It's not just a me thing. Just telling you. From a guy who has to put gloves on sometimes and clean public spaces, I think it's an absurd policy to restrict your bathroom to paying customers only, because actually it could be an outreach opportunity. Let them come into your place of business. Let them smell the bakery. Let them smell the coffee brewing, and maybe they'll be tempted well enough to actually buy something. So I'm not a fan of the policy, but here's the point. That's the policy. Policy is policy. This guy can't do anything about it, or girl, whatever the employee was. However, what they can do is not bother those guys if nobody needs the space. You got two dudes just hanging out, peeing in your toilet. Let them hang out. Did someone need the seat? If someone needs a seat, you can go over and go, hey, can you do me a favor? Yeah. Can you stand so these people can sit? Because they're actually paying customers right now. Okay? If they still refuse, I don't know that you call the police. I think you just let them hang.
We're talking about 15 minutes here, too.
Right.
Okay, 15 minutes is not a long time. If they were there for 2 hours, all right, we probably need to have a conversation.
Right.
Maybe if they were there for 45 minutes, we might need to have a conversation. I don't know about 15 minutes. So, again, maybe somebody's a little overzealous in their job responsibilities.
We've all seen that.
as far as the bathroom thing, I'm sure that that's in place to keep the bums out. I mean,
Maybe.
that's the best thing I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think the first time I went into Starbucks, I remember going to the bathroom and there was a keypad on the stall door, and I thought, well, that's weird. And you had to or not the stall door, excuse me, the bathroom door. You had to ask the staff for the number so you could get in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And that was to keep vagrants out, apparently. That was many years ago. I couldn't even tell you where
Columbia?
that was.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
And I would get it in Columbia, South Carolina. Yeah, okay. Again,
That's the only justification I can come up with.
policy is policy, right? Fine. However, the barista could have handled it better. All right. B, from the black guy's perspective. I'm a black guy. I'm sitting in Starbucks. I use the John. I come back and they say to me, hey, it's for paying customers only. And I say, well, we're waiting on somebody, and then we will be. They go, you got to buy something or leave. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave. I'm going to get up and I'm going to go, that's absurd. I want your name. I want to know what your position is here, and I'm leaving. And then I'm going to call corporate, and I'm going to tell corporate what happened. Because no good comes from this, okay? No good is coming out of this. This is making the gentleman that didn't leave look like a bunch of spoiled babies. And here's the problem that you're going to have as a community as a whole. If you're part of the black community, this is now your PR problem. It seems as if you believe policy shouldn't apply to you simply because of the color of your skin. If these guys had gone behind the counter and served themselves, which is certainly against policy at Starbucks, could you still be outraged? Well, no. Why? Why can't I be outraged because they broke policy? Policy is policy, right? Well, it's a little bit different, right, Kris? Well, no, it's not. Policy is policy. Again, easy to stand on principle until it has to be applied. So if they're back there slinging coffee all of a sudden and they go, hey, whoa, you can't do this. I paid for this coffee. I'm going to pour it myself. Sir, you cannot come behind the counter. I'm coming back there to pour my coffee I just paid for. Sir, you cannot come behind the counter. Is everybody still going to have their side? Again, they're breaking policy. They're just breaking a policy we don't really agree with because, don't use our bathroom is an absurd policy.
I would say that sometimes would be a fair way to say it. Some people go out looking for a fight.
Absolutely.
And I'm not totally convinced that that's not what this is.
Could have been.
Because how hard is it if you're at Starbucks to just go ahead and order a cup of coffee while you're waiting on your friend to get there or your business partner or whatever the case may be? I know that I have before. Mm-hmm. So met you at a Starbucks and I go ahead and order my quad squad.
Right.
And I go over there and I wait on you and I'm drinking my coffee and then you go get yours and then we talk about whatever we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And then we go about our business. At no point have I ever thought, you know what, I'm going to meet Kris at Starbucks today and I'm just going to sit in there and look weird.
Right. Yeah.
To me, that just seems a little strange. I don't know. For one, I don't know that I could walk into Starbucks and smell the coffee and then not want to have one.
Right. Yeah.
So it's already a little awkward to me. Already seems like a little bit of a setup.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a stretch.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
I'm just telling you what my hunch is.
Again, here's the thing. Let's just assume if you're any rational, normal human being and you're there for a business meeting and Starbucks employee comes up and tells you, hey, you got to buy something or leave, you're probably going to buy something. But if it comes down to I'm so mad that I'm not buying something, then you just leave. And then you complain to Starbucks and you tell Starbucks, you got an employee at this location who's an absolute idiot and should be handled. So, you don't let the police show up and arrest you, especially if you're there for a business meeting. I'd almost call bogus on that for that very reason.
That's sort of my point. So, and if you, and also consider, we're talking about two black guys. If the shoe was on the other foot, would we be talking about this? Maybe, maybe not. There was a video that someone took of the businessman that these two guys were there to meet, where he's telling the cops, "What's the problem here? I don't understand. Why are you doing this?" As he walks in the door. Again, it just seems a little too convenient that there's a cell phone out recording these two guys getting arrested. Do we have to record every arrest? Like, maybe I just don't live in a world where that's a thing.
I think people do.
I guess they do. World Star.
Right. Well, exactly. That's exactly what I was just thinking. They pull their phones out during fistfights and scream World Star Hip Hop and then want that posted to a website. That's the nature of humanity these days, unfortunately. Again, if you're there legitimately as just somebody waiting for a business meeting with a cup of coffee and you're a normal, decent human being, you don't let it escalate to that. Was the Starbucks employee in the wrong? No, because they were enforcing policy. Is it a stupid policy? Yes. But you can't tell me that that employee should be expected to know which policies to enforce when based on the color of somebody's skin. You will not convince me that we'd be having this conversation if two white guys got arrested in the Taylor's, South Carolina Starbucks for just hanging out. And you want to know why? It's because you and I would agree with it, right? We wouldn't band together and go, whoa, 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 whoa. They were white and got arrested for being in Starbucks. We'll make that an issue. We better march on that. It just doesn't happen because just not the culture of white people in America. If it is, we call them racists, right? Like that's the Klan mentality. And so it's I think terribly
You mean Trump supporter.
Oh yes, that's what I was trying to say. I think it's terribly bad publicity for the black community. I'd like to see less of this. Much like they're trying to make a huge deal out of Beyonce headlining Coachella, right? Or Coachella, whatever it's called. It's been around for 18 years. And they're trying to make it like she's Rosa Parks because she's the first black female to headline this music event. Apparently, she made a big statement about, can you believe I'm the first black female to headline this? Well, so what? Jurassic 5 was one of the headliners at the very first one.
And they're actually talented.
Yeah, and they know what to do with an instrument, and they write their own songs. Shut up, Beyonce. The problem is, here's the thing, Beyonce.
I love Jurassic 5, by the way.
They're great.
Huge fan.
Here's the thing,
That's
Beyonce.
not a joke. I love them.
This is what Beyonce needs to understand, right? It took 20 years for the people that are propping you up to get good enough at propping you up so you could headline a festival.
Bingo.
You are not your own person. By the way, one of Beyonce's biggest hits was written by Ryan Tedder, who's a white guy who's the lead singer and frontman for the band One Republic.
No.
So,
say it
yeah,
ain't so.
Mm-hmm.
That's racist.
Appropriating who? So the point is,
RASSIS. That's racist.
yeah, try not to act like I'm Beyonce and I'm a proud black woman and it's about time to let me headline Coachella. No. It just took 20 years for the people that do all the work,
Your handlers.
that you go out and replicate, right, exactly, to make good enough stuff for you to go do it. You can't, listen, if Beyonce was full of talent and wit, she would have already written enough amazing songs that she could headline a festival like that. But since she has to rely on a bunch of other people to occasionally write hit songs for her, it has taken 20 years to get her there.
But her
Makes
songs,
sense?
Chris, are so deep,
Right.
so moving. Mm-hmm. I distinctly remember the first. I know where I was the first time I heard, "If you like it, put a ring on it."
Yeah.
That was a good summer. Mm-hmm. Anyway,
All right. Beyonce's sister Solange, by the way, massive supporter of Che Guevara.
oh
So
yeah.
bear that in mind.
Well, her husband wears his T-shirts every time he walks a red carpet. just about.
How hilarious it is to see people that think they're doing the black community a favor by supporting a man who committed genocide against minorities.
Yeah, Che would have shot
It's
all of them in
stunning.
the back of the head.
It is stunning.
That
It's
was
stunning.
his signature move. So
So weird.
Come
All
on.
right. Anyway, it's bad PR for your community. And here's the other thing. Look, this is exactly what I hate about the news. I don't think a lot of black Americans agree with this. I think the majority of black Americans would look at this and go, well, why were those fools sitting there being foolish? Get up and leave. Complain, but do it the right way. Don't get yourself arrested. You don't do anybody any favors by getting yourself arrested in the middle of Starbucks. You're telling me you're waiting on a business meeting and you're willing to pitch a big enough fit to get arrested on trespassing charges?
Let's just say that is the policy, okay? Most people, if you have a conversation with them and you approach them as a human being, you can relate to them on some sort of level. So if they said, hey, man, look, guys, listen, you haven't bought anything, you can't hang out in here.
Right.
So if you just do us a favor and either buy something or just be on your way, I'd appreciate that. And those guys said, look, hey, we're waiting on a guy and we are going to buy something. We just don't want to be rude and
Right.
buy a coffee without him. So he's literally running late. He's gonna be here in just a minute.
Yeah.
And you tell them that, what person is going to go, nope, get out?
Right.
They're not going to do that.
Order now or
So
leave.
to me, I feel like there was an escalation that happened that we're not going to be privy to because the media is not going to let us in on that.
Right.
So it's just not going to happen. So whatever that was, whatever that escalation was that led to the cops being called is the thing that is going to be conveniently left out.
They never post the lead up.
Oh, no.
Never. It's
No,
just
no.
always the actual confrontation. By the way, one of the arresting officers is black. So
Not possible.
there's
No,
that.
sir. Nope.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah.
No. Hashtag BLM. I see it right there on the headline.
Oh, yeah. No.
Photo at the top.
No.
So that's not. There's actually, I don't know, where was this? Philadelphia?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no black cops there.
Right.
Nope. No,
No,
sir.
You're right. You're right. And it is when they say, look, it's a white person out there protesting Starbucks with a Black Lives Matter hashtag. I mean, that's really what's going on here. A bunch of white people who want to seem woke, I think is what the kids say.
Yep.
All right. Barbara Bush passed away, and a professor out at Fresno State College sent a tweet that said, "I'm happy the witch is dead." She's tenured, so she's bragging about the fact she can't get fired. She said Bush was an amazing racist who raised a war criminal. So there you go. Fresno State, this is from thedailymail.co. A Fresno State professor is under fire for her tweets deriding Barbara Bush. Rhonda Gerard, who teaches in the English department, took to Twitter and wrote a series of tweets condemning Bush, who died at the age of 92 after a battle with a lung disease and congestive heart failure. Quote, Barbara Bush was a generous and smart and amazing racist who, along with her husband, raised a war criminal. F out of here with your nice words. PSA, either you are against these pieces of expletive deleted and their genocidal ways, or you're part of the problem. That's actually how simple this is. I'm happy the witch is dead. Can't wait for the rest of her family to fall to their demise the way 1.5 million Iraqis have. Bye. That's what she wrote. B-Y-Y-Y-E-E-E-E-E-E-E.
Classy.
Yeah. So classless, and the fallout is loud and clear. A lot of alum from the university not happy with her comments. But it's funny, isn't it? Like, this lady hates Barbara Bush, but I came up with a list of things you can't say about Barbara Bush ever. First one would be that she victim shamed victims of rape who were accusing her husband of raping them. That's
a good point.
She never did that. She never stole anything when she left the White House. She's never lied about the fact that she was involved in the death of American soldiers. She never sold nuclear materials to the Russians.
Did you ever invite felons to the White House?
I don't know.
Knowingly?
Good question. I would guess not. I would guess not. And never lied so her husband could continue cheating on her. So those are all things that Barbara Bush never did. But I would bet the professor who hates her so much probably voted for a woman who actually did all of those things in the last election.
The article I read about this lovely young lady, which was...
Is she, though? That was very generous.
Yeah, it was
Very generous.
I was actually very sarcastic. Okay. So some people started rifling through her Twitter feed after this ridiculousness and found all kinds of anti-Semitic tweets. And
oh, yeah.
so she's all about Palestine and, you know, the eradication of the Jews.
That always helps.
So, you know, she's a pretty swell person apart from this Barbara Bush thing.
Are we going to talk about the fact that she's Muslim, or are we leaving that alone?
Well, I thought that was implied by what I just told you. But
Okay.
yeah, whatever.
All right,
Whatever
yeah.
you want to do.
She was born in Chicago, raised in Kuwait and Egypt, and then returned to the U.S. after the first Gulf War. So she lives, or has lived, in a country where a brutal dictator was gassing minorities to the tune of 300,000 or so Kurds that Saddam gassed, while George Bush Sr., right? Is he a senior? Yes. I'm lost in their lineage. Anyway, when Bush was in office taking Saddam supposedly out and then never killed him, part of our agreement for going in back in the Gulf War. Anyway, all right, so that's that. Shouldn't universities be allowed to fire people despite tenure?
I feel like tenure is an antiquated thing. Why does that only apply at universities?
I don't know. Can't get tenured anywhere else, can you?
Not that I'm aware of. Maybe you can. I don't know.
I guess it's a union thing. It would be my assumption, but I don't know. I don't know why you could get tenured and then do whatever you want and not be fired. There's got to be a point in which they say, this is a bridge too far.
If somebody has an answer, shoot us an email.
I'd love to hear it. All right, all these stories that we've mentioned and much more, you can find feltrecoilshow.com. That's feltrecoilshow.com. If you do have a question, an idea, something you want to hear us talk about, something you'd like to know the answer to, you can email Kris with a K, K-R-I-S, at feltrecoilshow.com. Patrick, common spelling for a common man, at feltrecoilshow.com. And then we'll come back next week and do all of this again for episode number 75 of the Felt Recoil Show.